Okay, so I'm actually enjoying researching homeschool success stories from big names that people might already recognize. But guys, it's not easy. Um, yeah, you can find out they were homeschooled, because they tend to say I was homeschooled. But they keep the curriculum and what they learned and what they were taught pretty tight-lipped, especially in people who were famous younger. So I tried to dig in specifically on Beyonce. So I tried to dig in and get information on Beyonce, but it was pretty darn impossible without looking at the people like immediately adjacent to her. So these homeschool success stories are kind of a Destiny's Child compilation. So let's discuss the members of Destiny Child. So Beyonce, of course, was the lead singer. Kelly Rowland was the second lead. And Solange, Beyonce's little sister, was a backup dancer outside of her own projects, which were mostly acting. And she also wrote several other group songs like Get Me Bodied. Beyonce Giselle Knowles was born September 4th, 1981 in Houston, Texas. At the age 9, her family, formed the singing, rapping girls group Girls Time in 1990 with childhood friends. In 92, the group was on Star Search and lost. In 97, the group obtained a Columbia recording contract and released a debut album, Destiny's Child. It yielded 3 singles, including the top 10 hit No No No, Part 2. The follow-up album, The Writings on the Wall, in 1999, earned the group 2 Grammy Awards and sold more than 8 copies in the United States. So like I said, the internet is pretty tight-lipped about the girls' education. So here's what I found. Formal education for Beyonce: Parker Elementary School, St. Mary's Elementary School, High School for Performing and Visual Arts, and a school called Alif Elsick School. Here's a picture from a Reddit post entitled, "My coworker went to high school with Beyonce." So, according to Soul Survivors, the official biography of Destiny's Child, the girls left their traditional high school sometime in their 9th grade year to focus on their debut album. On page 88 of the biography, Kelly Rowland recalls, "We left school in January," there you go, January, "of our 9th grade year, and from then on we had tutors. And tutoring was okay, but it was always high impact learning. Recess was not an option. We could focus on one subject and not get any breaks or social life. But for us, it was just about learning as much as possible as quickly as possible. And in between tutoring sessions, we were recording our album. We knew that it was important to be well-educated ladies because the music business is, after all, a business. And we wanted to prepare ourselves for that future." So, Beyonce never homeschooled alone, which is why it's hard to peel her off. She pretty much homeschooled with Kelly and I think maybe Solange as well. So, according to Beyonce, thanks to her unusual name, she was bullied in school, and yes, her name has always been Beyonce. She was given a derivative of her mother's surname, which is Beyonce. She reported, "It was just something else for them to use against me." She has said, "I couldn't win. I was bashful because the kids picked on me, and then I was picked on because I was so bashful." I mean, I guess she won that one, didn't she? So, like most homeschoolers, Beyonce did find her way to prom in 1997 with her male friend who attended a public school. Here's a picture. In April 2012, a website called NDTV reported that Beyonce may be heading back to school. The assumption was made after she visited a GED center at the age of 30. They wrote, Beyonce left high school age 14 to pursue her career, and although she received tutoring, it is not known if she ever completed her high school diploma. Nosy. So, FYI, homeschoolers don't need a GED. A homeschool diploma signed by parents is perfectly acceptable. So, Kelly Rowland went to Briar Grove Elementary, Louis Welsh Middle School, and Maribel B. Lamar High School. As stated previously, she was taught by tutors with Beyonce. An article was written during COVID-19 featuring Kelly Rowland, who is said to have been homeschooling her son at the time. According to HollywoodLife.com, the last 3 months, Kelly has spent most of her time homeschooling, playing with and chasing her 5-year-old son, Titan Joel Weatherspoon. Now she's fighting to ensure that he and the rest of the Black community have a future where they will be finally treated fair and equal. So, we can't talk about Destiny's Child without speaking about Michelle Williams, the third member of Destiny's Child, at least the final iteration of Destiny's Child. She had a traditional public school education. Despite being talented in singing in gospel groups, she was grown, 20 years old when she joined Beyonce and Kelly, so her education was finished. We did find some comments that said Matthew Knowles was Beyonce's homeschool teacher, but I struggled to corroborate that, and I don't put out any information I can't corroborate. However, in March 2024, Matthew Knowles was reported to be co-teaching an African American aesthetic culture from spirituals to hip-hop with Pepperdine professor Joy Carr. So, in his later years, Matthew Knowles is a college professor, and so that's the only thing I could find that said that he was an academic of any kind, but it's not unusual for a father who loves information to jump in with the homeschool teaching. The students in his college course were thrilled to be able to learn from Knowles and have worked to stay focused on course materials, especially the day when he brought a Grammy to the classroom. Knowles describes his teaching style as edutainment, adding in videos and other elements to make the classroom experience engaging. He said, I've always felt it's a privilege for me to give back and to also share my knowledge, but equally important to share my failures. Because I think I like to keep it real with students, that there's going to be mistakes, that there'll be some failures, but those are opportunities to grow rather than quit. I have a fundamental belief that knowledge is power, he told Fortune magazine. So, wherever Beyonce was, Solange was not far behind. Solange reported, I actually homeschooled from 8th grade, and I didn't go to college. I learned to be a student through the world and through my experiences through traveling and meeting people. Though Solange never officially joined Destiny's Child, she began traveling with the group as a backup dancer at age 13 after a performer became pregnant. At 15, Knowles replaced a departed dancer and performed with the group on tour. She said it felt very orthodox in its own twisted way when it came to spending most of her high school years on tour. At 18, Solange gave birth to Daniel Jules J. Smith II, which put her career in education on standby. She married his father, Daniel Smith, and moved to LA, and then to rural Idaho, where her husband attended college. They divorced in 2007, and Miss Knowles split time between Houston and Los Angeles, where she owns 2 houses, and she had another 4-year marriage a few years later. So she reports, there was a lot of loneliness in my teen years. A lot of the work I do speaks to that loneliness and weighs that connectivity. This was, prior to social media. I would be on the road for long stretches of time, mainly with other adults and older people. While it was an isolating experience, touring introduced Solange to the big, dramatic spaces of concert halls and music venues that intrigued her. She said, "I felt like I belonged there and that I could one day create a space that felt like that or embody the way that it felt through a song or a project." So, as you can see, the mystery continues as far as the well-guarded Beyonce and the women associated with Destiny's Child are concerned. I did read an online argument on how her father may or may not have said that Beyonce struggled with math. The conversation devolved as people tried to insinuate whether or not that meant multiplication or calculus. Y'all, people are mean. And it was kind of racist also, so. There is no doubt that she's a good writer, though, and a good musician. And that's all a music performer needs. Till next time.